How y'all folks doing? Welcome to the cable company. I'm Gator, and this is my NASA. Okay, I want to dedicate this to all the Rocketeers out there, and special thanks to Bob and Tony Rebels. They contributed to the Apollo mission. This is also for my girl, Lisa Ann Ringer Moat. She was an organ donor, and she didn't want to be. This right here is a Cape Canaveral, Florida, under a cooperative agreement with the American Telephone and Telegraph Company. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration launched a Delta vehicle from Pad 17B at 3:35 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, July 10th, 1962. Atop the Delta vehicle was the Bell System Telestar Experimental Communication Satellite. Excuse me. The 120-pound, roughly spiral-shaped satellite will receive a radio signal beam at it from the ground, amplify this signal 10 million times, and retransmit the signal on another frequency to a ground station. Telstar is a unique experiment in that it is the first time a private company has built a satellite and paid for the cost of launching with its own funds. There's well, that's good. That's good. That's paying for itself. They said they don't want it, but I don't know if I would have them put that in the fact sheet today. Hey, it's 30-pound satellite. It costs $10 million to take it up in space, $100,000 a pound. I think somebody didn't do right. They should have got some more. Somebody selling see something that somebody should have said. Hey, anybody else want to take a satellite up? $10 million down. That's a lot of money, man. I thought it was about $1 million or something, but $10 million back then, that's a lot. Well, imagine what it is today. And then the fact sheet, if people wonder, you wonder what I'm talking about when I say I got fact sheets and stuff, And the Mercury Redstone. On May the 5th, 1961, at 9:34 a.m., the Mercury Redstone left astronaut Alan Shepard to an altitude of 115 miles and a distance of 302 miles down the Atlantic Missile Range. The vehicle performed as planned. A second manned suborbital flight was conducted on July the 21st, 1961, with astronaut Virgo Gus Grissom aboard. The flight was also successful. The Mercury Redstone vehicle is a modified and angulated version of the Redstone missile presently deployed overseas with U.S. forces. In redesign, the 70-inch diameter tank section was lengthened about 6 feet, adding more than 20 seconds to engine burning time. Approximately 800 other changes were required to transform the old reliable Redstone into a man-carrying booster. The selection of the Mercury Redstone as a vehicle for the manned suborbital phase of the Mercury program was made because of its excellent reliability record and performance capability. Specifications: it's 58 feet high, 83 feet, including spacecraft. Diameter is 70 inches, weighs 33 tons. The thrust was 78,000 pounds. It's fuel 75% alcohol and 25% water, liquid oxygen. After reviewing data obtained from the two successful man-carrying suborbital flights, the decision was made by NASA officials that further manned suborbital flights were unnecessary, and the program moved on to the orbital flight phase. Thus, the Mercury Redstone may be said to be the booster that worked itself right out of a job. And there you go, there's the fact sheet. And we got, let's see what this one is. This is launch operation. There you go, fact sheet, if you'll see that right there. Okay, Saturn C1. General, the Saturn rocket, a project of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, is the largest space vehicle under advanced development in the United States. It will be capable of sending payloads of several tons into each orbit, to the moon and into deep space. A main purpose of Saturn is manned space exploration, leading to lunar landings of man and equipment within this decade. Saturn is expected to be the major heavy vehicle for U.S. space exploration for a number of years. It is the first large rocket developed especially to scientific space programs and manned space flight. Earlier space achievements have been accomplished mainly in basically military rockets. Several versions of the rocket were planned. They were consecutively designed, C1, C2, C3, etc. Each one was to be more powerful and logical than follow on to its predecessor. However, the success achieved with the first version, C1, has advanced the Saturn program to the Project 5th version of the rocket, C5. This, in effect, eliminates three intermediate versions, C2, C3, and C4. The Saturn C5 will have much larger dimensions and considerably greater thrust. The initial experimental flight of the boosters with insert upper stages was conducted October 27, 1961, when the rocket flew a near perfect ballistic trajectory over the Atlantic missile range. Saturn used conventional chemical propellants in the first stage. Early rockets will use high-energy chemical propellants in upper stages. Later, Saturn may use nuclear propulsion in some upper stages. Background. In the spring of 1957, studies were being made by Dr. von Braun Rocket Development Group on large, closer engine rockets. In the summer of 1958, the group received authorization to proceed with the design and development of a 1.5 million pound thrust booster rocket based on the clustered engine concept. The program designed Saturn was specifically set up to demonstrate with captive tests, firing the feasibility of the clustered engine concept. By November of 1958, the go-ahead was given to build 4 flight test vehicles in the stage development program associated with reliable multi-stage Saturn vehicles. Primary planning for the upper stages was started. In 1959, the program was transferred from the Department of Defense to the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. After extensive testing in 1960, the Saturn booster was successfully launched in 1961. Saturn C1 stages, the first Saturn configuration known as C1, consists of a maximum of 3 stages, S1, S4, and S5 respectively. There is a 10 vehicle research and development flight test program which will be concluded in 1964. No more than 2 stages will be activated in any one of the 10 tests. In the first 4, only the booster will be powered, and the next 2, the booster S1 and the second stage S4 will be powered. While the primary purpose of the first 10 flights is to prove the vehicle, the last 4 flights 7 through 10, also with 2 stages, may have secondary missions of testing earlier models of the Apollo spacecraft. On the launching pad, the three-stage C-1 is about 163 feet high. Its liftoff weight is about 1 million pounds. With all stages powered, it will orbit more than 20,000 pounds. Saturn C-1 configuration. It's 21.5 diameter, 82 feet height, 8, and it has 8 H1 engines, and that gives you a 1,500,000 pounds of thrust. The second S4-18 diameter and 40 feet high, 6 RL10A-3 engines, and that gives you 90,000 pounds of thrust. And the third S5, 10 feet by 29, and then it's got 2 RL10A3s, and that gives you 30,000 pounds of thrust. First stage S1. The Saturn first stage or booster, called the S1, is powered by a cluster of 8 H1 engines, which will ultimately produce 1.5 million pounds of thrust, or 32 million horsepower. The H1 engine has advanced and compact offspring of the Jupiter and Thor engine, was selected because of its relatively simplicity, early availability, and proven reliability. It burns RP1 kerosene fuel and liquid oxygen. The 8 H1 engines are arranged in 2 square patterns. The 4 inner engines are rigidly attached. The 4 other engines are mounted on gibbles, which permit them to be turned through angles of about 7 degrees to provide control of the vehicle during first stage powered flight. 9 separate tanks feed the 8 H1 engines. The kerosene containers are pressurized by gaseous nitrogen carried in 48 fiberglass spheres atop the tank, and the liquid oxygen containers are pressurized by gaseous oxygen obtained by passing liquid oxygen through heat exchangers that are a part of each unique package. The fuels, as well as the liquid oxygen tanks, are interconnected at the base to allow the maintenance of equal levels in all tanks during burning. In case one engine malfunctions and is cut off during flight, this arrangement permits the remaining 7 engines to consume the fuel and oxygen intended for the dead engine. In this manner, the burning time of the 7 remaining engines is increased, and there is only a small loss in the overall booster performance. Second stage S4. The S4, which is the second stage of the C1 vehicle, will be powered by 6 15,000-pound thrust liquid hydrogen liquid oxygen engines, known as the RL10A-3. Development of the S4 includes the interstage structure, which provides space for the 6 engines and transmits the load from the upper part of the rocket to the stage beneath. This structure will remain with the lower stage upon separation in flight. The mid portion of the S4 is primarily an aluminum crystallite container composed of a liquid oxygen tank and a liquid hydrogen tank, separated by a single isolated bulkhead. Attached to the cylinder section are small rockets to be used to separation of the S4 from the stage beneath. At the forward end of the cylindrical container, the structure assembly, which will provide support for the spacecraft or the S5 stage. Retro rockets for separation of the S4 and S5 are mounted on this adapter. This third stage S5. The S5, which will be powered third stage for certain laser C1 flights, will be the sister modified for use on the Saturn. This stage uses 2 RL10A3 engines of the type employed in the second stage S4. The basic pressurized stainless steel structure of the Centaur will be used as well as most of the basic components developed for the Atlas Centaur. One exception is the fact that the skin thickness must be increased to accommodate the heavier payloads of Saturn vehicles. The S5 modification studies are presently being conducted. And the guidance and control. The initial Saturn guidance and control system is primarily an adaptation of the Jupiter system components to meet Saturn requirements. Saturn will use all guidance. More advanced hardware will be introduced into the system as the guidance missions become more demanding. The object of the guidance scheme is to provide a universal system that is capable of performing a variety of missions requirements placed on the vehicle to meet differing payload objectives. Part of the final guidance system is the high-speed digital computer capable of meeting Saturn's high reliability standards and difficult missions in terms of programming. In particular, one use of the guidance system is to automatically give corrective sights to components for deviation resulting from loss of thrust should one of the 8 H1 engines in the first stage fail to perform properly. Transportation. Because of this size, transportation of the S1 first stage from the Huntsville to the Cape Canaveral pose an innate problem. It is too large to be moved by conventional rail, highway, or air transport. As a result, two barges were obtained to transport the S1. The rocket includes the Tennessee, Ohio, and Mississippi River, the Gulf of Mexico, and intercoastal waterways to Cape Canaveral on the east coast of Florida. The distance is more than 2,000 miles. The S4 second stage is planned to be shipped by water from its point of manufacture on the west coast to Cape Canaveral via the Panama Canal. Possible air transportation of the S4 in which the stage would ride piggyback on a large transport plane is being studied. The S4's third stage, 10 feet in diameter, can easily be transported conventionally by aircraft. Construction. Saturn's immense size has necessitated the construction of several new development, testing, and launching facilities. Among the projects at Huntsville are the modification of captive test stand to accommodate the S1, the addition of the dynamic test stand for an assembled Saturn vehicle, and the construction of a second captive test tower. At Cape Canaveral, where NASA launch operations dictate launches the rocket, several major construction projects are in progress. The Saturn Launch Complex, including blockhouse, ranch, launch pad, and service structure, was completed in June 61. Construction of another launch complex is currently underway. Okay, God, come back and see me. Bye-bye.